They sat down to dinner. Signor Pastrini had promised them a banquet. He gave them a tolerable repast. At the end of the dinner, he entered in person. Franz thought that he came to hear his dinner praised, and began accordingly, but at the first words he was interrupted. "Excellency," said Pastrini, "I am delighted to have your approbation, but it was not for that I came." "Did you come to tell us you have procured a carriage?" asked Albert, lighting his cigar. "No, and your excellencies will do well not to think of that any longer. At Rome, things can or cannot be done. When you are told anything cannot be done, there is an end of it. It is much more convenient at Paris. When anything cannot be done, you pay double, and it is done directly." "That is what all the French say," returned Signor Pastrini, somewhat piqued. "For that reason, I do not understand why they travel." "But," said Albert, emitting a volume of smoke and balancing his chair on his hind legs, "only madmen or blockheads like us ever do travel. Men of their senses do not quit their hotel in the Rue du Helder, their walk on the Boulevard de Gaulle, and the Café de Paris." It is, of course, understood that Albert resided in the aforesaid street, appeared every day on the fashionable walk, and dined frequently at the only restaurant where you can really dine, that is, if you are on good terms with its waiters. Signor Pastrini remained silent for a short time. It was evident that he was musing over this answer, which did not seem very clear. "But," said Franz, in his turn interrupting the host's meditations, "you had some motive for coming here. May I beg to know what it was?" Folks, I want you to correct me. Join the Discord. If you haven't signed up for the Discord yet, this is the very thing that I'm talking about when I say I want a discussion. I want to hear from you. It's free. It's in the show notes. Check it out. What I want to know is, am I misinterpreting Albert here? He seems so conceited to me. And it's things like taking a long puff of his cigar and then blowing it out while he's speaking and leaning back in his chair, emitting a volume of smoke and balancing his chair on its hind legs. Like, there's a sort of, I wouldn't even call it naivety, but like a man of dignity and respect and power could speak to Pastrini the way that he's speaking, but not with like the brashness of leaning back in your chair like you are a distracted student in high school. I get that they're in a moment of leisure, especially after dinner. I mean, granted, he's not like undoing his pants and making himself comfortable following, gorging himself on pork chops. But there is just a sort of over familiarity and lack of decorum in Albert. And this is the part where I'm like, that seems a bit more obvious to me. But what we've seen of Franz, chapter 31, we spent so much time with him. Is Albert kind of a bad influence on him? Because Franz seems to be a bit more reinvested in this day-to-day chicanery that they're doing than having a life-changing experience on his first trip of hashish on Fantasy Island with Sinbad the Sailor. Like, that seems like such a thing of the past now. I guess it didn't quite have the long-lasting, life-changing effect that he thought it did. Because now he's right back into the kind of snootiness with Albert and talking to Pastrini. I mean, it does seem Franz has a bit more of a rational, that's not the word I want to use, a bit more social decorum, I guess I'll use that word again, than Albert does. And I think it comes with like a sort of sense of entitlement. Maybe Franz feels a little bit less entitled, but Albert just has this entitled air about him. Like, I can talk to you while I'm leaning back in my chair and blowing smoke in your face. I mean, he's not 100% blowing it in his face, but you know what I mean? Like, there's just the image of, who are you to me for me to change how I am comfortable while talking to you? I'm asking these questions because I'm realizing now that this is the third chapter with Franz. Dante is nowhere to be seen. This story, folks, this story is no longer about Dante. I don't know who Dante is, where he is, what's he doing. So now I have to reinvest in these characters, Albert and Franz, and so I need to orient myself to them. Who are they? What do they want? What do they do? What do they think? What's important to them? we're basically starting over. Year 2, and now we are meeting new people and starting the story from scratch. So, Franz and Albert, sign off in the Discord. Let me know what you think of them and whether or not I am giving them the credit and gravitas they deserve. Maybe they don't deserve it. But you tell me. I can only give you my interpretation as I'm reading this cold every day. Every day I expect Dante to show up again. And I'm like at that moment where I'm like, oh, he's never coming back, is he? He went out for cigarettes and never returned. So bear with me as we experience this story as purely as it was meant to be, which is to not know what's going to happen next. And that's what's happening. Okay, I'm not going to go down that tangent again. Join me here tomorrow as we learn a bit more about Albert and Franz and Pastrini. Signor Pastrini. Okay, goodbye. The Countdown of Monte Cristo is part of the Gruntwork Podcast Network. This show is produced, edited, and hosted by Landon Solano. The original text of The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexander Dumas. Theme song by Magic Solo. If you want to support the show and others like it, visit patreon.com/gruntworkpod. Thank you for listening. See you tomorrow.